just must have seen somebody at the door
That's all
and is
right.
barking. I hope he'll stop in a
Your
second. But
dog's doing its job,
I,
Coach. What kind of dog do you have?
I got German Shepherd. Got a Shepherd,
Yes.
and when Amazon comes to the door about 15 times a day, and so I never know when he's going to bark. But anyway, it's good to hear from y'all, and good to talk to y'all back in Birmingham.
Well, listen, how do you make it every single week dealing with Ronnie Sanders at Auburn Undercover? How do you do that?
Well, because he can't get a word in edgewise, probably. It's hard to have ever found a Bowden, going back to my father, who didn't like a microphone. We talk a lot. But Roddy's a lot of fun. He was one of my student assistants when I coached there, and so he's maintained his relationship to Auburn. And then, of course, I went on and broadcasted for 10 years, and then coached for 15 more years. And so I never got around to getting back around to Auburn very often because of the fact that I was still working. And I was working on Saturdays during the season. And then I retired, and my mother, we moved my mother to Auburn. My sister lives there. And so my mother's in a assisted living home there. And so I get back there. And so I've gotten back involved and enjoy going back to Auburn and meeting so many of my old friends. And Ronnie does a great job. He's been an Auburn man all along. I've worn a lot of hats. I've been a head coach at 6 different universities. And so, in fact, I think I've not only got ever to be a head coach at 3 universities in Alabama. I may have that distinction, Stanford, North Alabama, and Auburn. So good to be back. And Ronnie is a great friend, and we're having a good time.
Coach, there's got to be things that you miss about the game, being around the guys, around that building every day. What are some of those things that you miss now being retired? But what are some of the things that we have in intercollegiate athletics, not just college football, that you're glad that you're probably not a part of?
Yeah, well, since I retired, I do podcasts. I have a studio built into my home, and I have a nationally syndicated show, Bowden Blitz, that I do. Because everybody online, they want to talk about how much somebody's going to win or what the over/under is. I've had a different perspective of college football, but I do get to enjoy still studying the game, analyzing the game, and kind of predicting who might do good or who might do bad based on what I know about the game. So I've kept myself close to the game. And if you'll remember, after I left Auburn, I went to New York and worked in the studio for 10 years. I worked 8 years. So I think was the premier studio host of, I think, at ESPN in their history. And then I worked a couple of years with Mike Tirico on the road doing games. And so had a good time doing that. So I've had some TV, radio background in between, but I love still talking about it. But you're right. I think the relationship you have with players, sometimes, when you're retired, you can sit in your house and do all these podcasting, but you're not really, having face contact with a lot of people. So I've always loved working with young people, and I'll always miss that. And I think you were getting to another issue with all the change that's going on in college football. Is there things that I miss or don't? I miss the players and working with the players, and they haven't changed a lot. The rules have changed. What we give them has changed, but a lot of times I think when they want to be successful, they respond to motivation, all those things that you do. I don't think that changes. The human nature doesn't change a lot. Having to pay NIL money is different. Working with a young man, wanting to develop him, and then losing him in the portal. And you can imagine me spending the second half of my career when I came back into coaching at the G6 or G5 level, where every player that you get that's any good, you lose.
Yeah.
You lose. And I think you hate that part. But again, if you're going to coach more than one decade, if you can coach within a decade, a lot of things don't change. But I've been a head coach in 5 different decades, from 1983 to 2023. My dad coached 7 different decades. Now, you think back the changes in football from the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, and then I coached from the late 70s, 80s, 90s, all the way till 2000. There have been a lot of big changes. We think of what's going on now, but my dad went through segregation, integration, the Vietnam War, long hair, short hair, all the things that we've seen differently. You kind of just have to do a better job the guys you got to beat at dealing with it. That's the only thing you got. You don't have to solve it. You don't have to like it or dislike it. But if you're going to be successful, you and your staff better do a better job of dealing with it than the teams you got to beat, and that's the key.
Coach, I want to take you back when you first got in the business as a coach, and based on the landscape of what it was back then and what coaches now are having to deal with, transfer portal, NIL, roster management, all those things. Granted, you had to do some of that back in the day, but if you had to do over again and you were walking into a coach's office for the first time as a new head coach, as a young coach, would this be an environment that a young Terry Bowden would want to be in?
Well, first of all, it would be the only environment that you know. You know, why the young coaches, I don't think it makes as big an impact on coaches in their 30s, because that's all they've known. I mean, they're coaches now that are now in the business that all they've known is portal transfer and NILs, you know, that we've had the last 3 or 4 or 5 years. And so I think when you hear Nick Saban talk or Urban Meyer talk or even myself a little bit, because I really was a head coach before they were, because I started so early, we look at it and say, man, things have changed so much. I'm not really thrilled about that. But I guarantee most of the young coaches, whether you be on the young staff at Auburn or Alabama, to many of the GAs coming up or the young assistants, that's all they know. They better be good at the landscape of college football as it is now, and the ability to go recruit through the portal, through the lower levels of college football, all those differences that they have now, which are different than what we had. You know, it's just a different set of circumstances. So I think to a young coach coming in, there's still, you know what, the game on Saturday, and I cover games and every week during the season all over the country. The product on the field is just as good, if not better. And so we do have a great product, and the fans love what they watch. I think the behind-the-scenes things that are going on, we wonder if there's some type of can we put a lid on the money being spent on rosters? And we have coaches talking about it, but they're making more money. They're making $100 million a year, and they're talking about limiting the players. So, you know, it's a different time, but I think you got to adapt to how it is now.
Coach Terry Bowden joining us here on Three Man Front and joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. You got a first-year young head coach, a lot like yourself, way back when at Auburn, and Alex Golish. If you were to give Alex Golish some advice for his first year on the Plains, what would it be, Coach?
Well, you know, it's funny. I was in Auburn last week, visiting my mother. I went by and visited with Alex and some of his staff members, but he's a hard. You can tell he's gung ho. He's got a lot of motivation, a lot of excitement. He's already got established a reputation as a hard worker, and being a hard worker, get up, you know, first up, first to bed, all those kind of things. That when you're a young coach, you need to have that part of the coaching aspect of it, putting in the hours, hard work, and I think that's the key. But it was funny as we started talking to him. I said, just remember, I had an old saying at Auburn. I think it was more applied to the SEC, and it's that sometimes I think they would rather run the ball and lose than pass the ball and win. And so just remember, they like big backs that carry the ball, and I think it's necessary. And he loved running the football. I said, just make sure you can run that football. Because I went through the age when I came up at Auburn, we ran 11 personnel, one grouping of I-formation football, fullback, tailback, big back. And then I came through the full wide out, no huddle, fast break, little bitty backs that can catch the ball and run, you know, like Ward Dunn, like my dad had. And so, but I think the one thing I said jokingly to Alex is, make sure you run the ball. People in the SEC, I don't care, Auburn, Alabama, they love to run the football. And I think in this day and age, we're finding out that no matter how much you throw it, you better have a good running attack, or your quarterback's going to be throwing interceptions in the second half. He's going to be throwing the ball too much. He's going to be throwing interceptions. And you've got to be able to run a football.
Coach Terry Bowden joining us here on Three Man Front. You can hear him on his weekly podcast with Ronnie Sanders at Auburn Undercover on the Terry Bowden Show. Coach, for our younger audience out there, they may not remember this, but a young quarterback by the name of Jimbo Fisher followed you to Samford University and put up some incredible numbers over in Homewood. Just tell the young audience how good Jimbo Fisher was as a quarterback for you.
Yeah, I've had some really good quarterbacks, and I've always felt Jimbo was probably the best quarterback I had. 5'9", and that's probably giving him an inch. He hates to say it, but he's 2 inches. That's 2 inches taller than I am. So I recruited him out of high school. My first year in football, he grew up about 20 minutes from Salem College. And so I saw him play in high school, and he could play every sport: point guard, shortstop, quarterback. And so I recruited him at Salem College, and we turned that program around. I was 26 years old, and I coached almost the entire offense at a small college. And, of course, which I was his quarterback coach, and I was his connection. But he and I grew up studying football together. When I went to study, when I dropped down to Tallahassee to study Florida State's offense in the early 80s, I put him in the car and go with me. He was as much part of the family, and we studied and put it together. And then when I went to Samford, he went with me as my quarterback there. Of course, he broke the national record, 10 games, 30 touchdown passes, in 10 games. And was a All-American. It was a Division III that first year. But I told him, if you'll come to Samford and play for me, I'll have a coaching job for you the rest of your life, I promise. So he graduated, became a coach at Samford. Then I took him to Auburn. And, it was funny when my dad was looking for an offensive coordinator, and I was at ABC in New York. They kind of hired me to help my dad locate coordinators or interview them and talk to them. And I said, Dad, get Jimbo. I mean, he's got a knack for football. He understands football. So I called Jimbo. I said, Jimbo, I told you if you stuck with me at Samford, I'd get you a job forever. And I'm pretty sure if you do a good job with my dad, he's going to retire and you're going to be the next head coach. And sure enough, he was. So Jimbo but he was an outstanding. You don't get many better at being a quarterback. You don't. And I think Nick Saban, he was a quarterback right down the road from Jimbo. They grew up probably 20 miles apart, as did Rich Rodriguez and all those. And Nick was a quarterback that was too short. My dad recruited him. I watched Nick Saban play in high school, going as a 12-year-old going on a recruiting trip with my dad. And they were both very similar. Great leaders, great quarterbacks, too short to be a Division I or NFL quarterback, but ended up making outstanding coaches.
All right, Coach, I want to go hypotheticals. We do that. You're in this business.
Yeah.
We go hypotheticals. You get the call a year from now, and it's Jimbo. And he says, hey, Coach, just accepted a job at X University. I want you to come and call plays. Are you entertaining that?
No, I don't think so. I think it's a young man's guy. I turned 70 this year. Now, let me say this. We're about to make an announcement in Monroe tomorrow. We've got a new arena league in town, 8 games, 4 home, 4 away, and we got a press conference tomorrow. The new head coach is going to be.
Do you want to
me?
Yeah.
So, but it's perfect. I am semi-retired.
That is great.
And I do, and the thing that I miss, because I always call plays. My entire time coaching, I call plays until the last couple of years here. And I hired Rich Rodriguez here in town as my first offensive coordinator. And when you hire Rich, you don't get to call plays. He calls the plays. And I said, well, okay. It'll be good to get him in. So, but I gave up what I love doing the most. So anyway, when they called me about this arena team, the Monroe Greenheads, we're going to have a press conference tomorrow. I'm letting y'all in on it one day early, but I think they put out an invitation to the press conference and my picture's on it. So I got a feeling it's not going to be much of a secret. But really, I'm looking. It's going to be real. It's entertainment. I think everybody has watched these Savannah Bananas, and all this stuff. And I think they see these arena ball and things like that as being as much family entertainment and fun. And I'm looking. I think it's going to be fun. It's basically 7-on-7, and so I've got a lot of players that from we're about 30 miles. You've got Grambling, La Tech, and ULM right around here.
Oh yeah.
And there's a lot of players that aren't quite good enough to make the NFL. So, but anyway, no, I Jimbo, if somebody got back in, I've been a head coach all my life. I didn't do the assistant route. In fact, I was a quarterback coach 1 year in 1986 at Akron for Jerry Faust. But I've been a head coach and I have called plays. But Jimbo, if he goes back in, he needs to call plays. I taught him well. He and I mean, everything I learned from my dad, and I learned everything from my father. He was a great play caller
Sure
during the
was.
'80s. He was a great play, and I was his self scout coach for 4 years. I was his GA that studied his play calling tendencies. And so when I got out of Florida State, if people wonder how'd you know how to call a play, I said, well, I was copied my father. For 4 years, I could tell him every single play he was going to call because I knew his tendencies. And so when I got to Salem, I knew how to call plays, and Jimbo learned from me. And so, and I've always said, if anything happened wrong at Texas A&M, Jimbo probably turned things over that he's so good at. He's a great on the field coach, you know, and I felt like he needed to plays. I'm reminded of what Buddy Ryan said when Buddy, you remember Buddy Ryan?
Oh yeah, from the Eagles, yeah.
The Bears, the Chicago Bears.
Yep.
And he invented the Bear defense, the 44 defense, and they won the Super Bowl at a Mike Vick kick. And so he decided to, when he got the head coaching job, he got fired after about a year or two. And he said, the dumbest thing I ever did was I fired my best assistant, which was him.
Yeah.
He quit calling the plays, and that's what he was good. So I think, as you mentioned, Jimbo, and I think he's smart. He'll take. Come on, Coach.
That is
Must be an Amazon man here.
Well, Coach, listen.
I hear my dog barking.
That's all right. Listen, we appreciate you taking time out for us. Good luck on the new gig, and we'll continue to listen.
Thank you, man.
And we will continue to listen to the
Coach.
Terry Bowden Show. They're on Auburn Undercover. Coach, take care. Hope you'll come back.
Thank you very much. Take care, y'all.
Thank you so much. That is Coach Terry Bowden.
The Greenheads of Monroe.
Just broke some news here on Three Man Front. Do the breaking news sounder. Let's do this. Let's do it upright.
Well, that sound means there's breaking news here on the show. For more, let's send it to the three-man front breaking news desk where Pat Smith is astutely sitting by. Hello, Pat.
Hello, Landrum. Former Auburn head football coach Terry Bowden broke the news on three-man front moments ago. He is getting back into coaching at the young age of 70 years old. He will be the head coach of a brand new indoor league team in Monroe, Louisiana. What's the name of it, Landrum?
The Monroe Greenheads.
The Greenheads.
Not the Blackheads,
The
but
Greenheads.
the Greenheads.
Okay.
Conrad's probably the only one that's had a green head on his face. Chew. There you go.
Yeah.
You got it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That'll be good. That'll be good for
It will. He's called the plays.
It'll be a lighter schedule.
Yeah.
From what I understand about the Arena League, I think it's lighter. Those guys, I mean, some of those guys, they're changing tires and then coming to practice.
You know, Terry sounded like his dad 20 years ago, but
Yes.
my goodness gracious. Now, even more so.
Oh.
I mean, it was like talking to his daddy.
Yep.
That was.
It's hard to believe he's 70, though.
Yeah. Man, looks good.
He was what? How old was he when he got hired at Auburn? Was he 38 or was he in his 40s?
I don't think he was in his 40s.
Neither.
You can double check that. Coming up at the bottom of the hour, the Southern Gentleman, Brett Norsworthy, WHBQ Radio, Ole Miss Radio Network. He will join the program. We are jam-packed on this Wednesday. Hope you're enjoying the program. Keep it tuned right here to Jocks. Appreciate Coach Terry Bowden joining the program. Brett Norsworthy will join the program coming up at the bottom of the hour. If you're a homeowner or business owner in Central Alabama, you need a roof that you can count on. Whether weather going from severe spring storms straight into summer heat and humidity, it takes a roofing company that truly understands what works here in the state of Alabama, and that's Abide Roofing, 205-577-7338. Just a couple years ago, it was in the month of April, I noticed that I was having some problems, and I went up in my attic, and I had a leak. And that leak was because I had some loose shingles and I had some storm damage. So I called Travis Lloyd at Abide Roofing at 205-577-7338. Not only did Travis come and get on my roof and identify multiple issues on my roof, but then he dealt with my insurance company, because at Abide Roofing, they're the insurance claim masters. They're going to help you navigate, just like they did me, the process. And they're going to make sure that you get the coverage that you deserve. And that's what Travis did for me. The service was incredible. The communication was outstanding. They were able to get on my roof. And I've never been more proud of what I have on my house than what Travis Lloyd and Abide Roofing did for me. And they can do the same for you. They offer complete roofing solutions, including 24-hour support and fast emergency service. Remember, free, no obligation roof inspection. So if you believe you have a problem, loose shingles, or maybe you have a bigger issue, Travis can take care of all of that. Call them today, 205-577-7338. That's abideroof.com.
By the way, Terry Bowden, when he was hired at Auburn, 36 years of age. So wanted to clean that up. We were talking with Coach Bowden. If you missed any portion of that, go and find it there at jocksfm.com and the Three Man Front podcast. We got Major League Baseball going on. A Braves getaway day as they head out to Arizona after today's wrap-up with the A's. Braves leading 2-1. Langoliers has gone deep again.
Number
5 home runs in as many games, or I guess today would be game 6, but 5 home runs. But Drake Baldwin comes up big, got a couple of runs batted in. Braves batting bottom of the 4th inning, leading 2-1. As Chris Sale tries to notch his second win of the season.
So talking to Terry Bowden, and for those that may not remember this, or maybe you're too young and maybe you've just read about it or seen some old YouTube clips, what was going on in the SEC in the early 90s, you had Steve Spurrier show up down in Gainesville, and he was running this 5 wideout system. And you heard Terry kind of talk about it a little bit. I mean, Auburn would line up in the I formation, but then all of a sudden he started lining up 4 and 5 wideouts. And that was something that was a shock to the system of the people in the state of Alabama that watched football at Alabama and Auburn. And what Terry Bowden was able to do, and obviously back in 1993 was able to go undefeated. And I was tell this story. I was very young in this business. Matter of fact, it was my first year, and covering the Iron Bowl from Bryant-Denny Stadium at a closed circuit jumbotron because Auburn was on NCAA probation. And Auburn was not allowed on television. And so the Iron Bowl was not broadcast anywhere. You either had to have the ticket and be at the game at Jordan-Hare Stadium, or the way they used to do it back in the old days, the closed circuit feed. A lot of times you would have boxing matches back in the day. It would be closed circuit. They did a closed circuit feed inside Bryant-Denny Stadium. And myself and Bob Lockme, we were doing a scoreboard show at our old radio station. And so Bob and I went down to Tuscaloosa and sat inside Bryant-Denny Stadium because it was closer, because we had to get back here to do a scoreboard show, or we would have just gone to the game as credentialed media. So we went to Tuscaloosa because it was shorter, and we watched the game inside the stadium. And can you imagine those fans that day watching what Auburn did in that game? Was unbelievable.
No, I got to see it firsthand inside of Jordan-Hare Stadium and can still remember. I can still remember, was that was Jay Barker when he went down with a knee injury?
Jay Barker, yep, blew his knee out.
Remember, it was
Stan White blew his knee out.
He blew his knee out. You had the Sanders catch from Nix. I'm trying to remember, was it Bostic breaking off a run maybe late in that game? You remember a linebacker that played at Auburn? He was a walk-on, and he was originally from Connecticut, and his name was Jason Miska.
Oh, yeah.
You remember Jason Miska?
I do remember that.
I was thinking about the Bowden years, and there were so many other things that I wanted to ask Coach when he was on with us, because you think about what Steve Spurrier was doing at Florida at that time.
Oh, what Terry was doing at Auburn was mirroring the explosive offense that Spurrier had installed in the swamp.
And I think for Conrad, he can appreciate it as a fan of college football history, but to witness what we were seeing with that offense, with those receivers, with that spread out attack, but can still run the football. And, oh, by the way, they're pretty salty on defense too. That was a different animal. And that's when everybody in the SEC kind of woke up and said, oh, well, 3 yards in a cloud of dust, that's not the only way to get it done.
Think about this. Back in 1987, when Jimbo Fisher was at Samford University, he threw 30 touchdown passes, and he was named as the Division III Player of the Year in college football. Mendoza, what did he throw? 41 touchdowns this last year?
Something like that.
30's going to span across whatever. That's impressive.
But that just tells you, because nowadays with the type of offenses that you see in college football, Mendoza throws for 41, but look at the number of games that he also played more than what, Jimbo Fisher did at Samford. But Samford, he had 30. So
I think Ty had 30 this year.
So
for comparison, yeah.
Pretty amazing. Coming up next, a good friend of the program, Brett Norsworthy, WHBQ in Memphis. He is next. It is 12:32 here on Jocks, a jam-packed program on this Wednesday. If you missed any of our interviews, you can always download those on the Three Man Front podcast. You hear him every Thursday on this radio program from August through January. We thought we would call him kind of an emergency session with the Southern gentleman. That is Brett Norsworthy, WHBQ
so
Radio. So
soothing to hear his voice, that refined Southern accent. Mr. Norsworthy, how are you?
I'm doing well, Andrew. How are y'all?
We're doing great. Finer than frog hair.
today is so much fun. More people in radio have been fired over April Fool's jokes gone wrong than in about anything else. And it's why I always told my crew, play it straight up on April 1st. We don't want to take any chances, especially with retirement looming. But today feels like the first day of spring, doesn't it? With April 1st, the Masters next week, sun shining, NC Final Four this weekend. It really feels good outside, too.
Seersucker suits and pimento cheese.
We're close.
Very close. Very close. Well, once we saw the announcement, and we're going to talk some Ole Miss football in a minute, but I want to jump on this immediately. You and I both, we're not the biggest fans of Hunter Yurachek, and to see that the College Football Playoff Committee has extended him for another year to be the chairperson of this committee, it leaves a lot of people to scratch their heads. So I thought, hey, let's call Brett. Let's see what Brett has to say about it.
Yeah, I think the committee's too big. I think it's too unwieldy. I think he would be better with 4 or 5 big hitter voices in there. And that certainly would exclude Hunter Yurachek, because if you assembled 400 or 500 big hitter voices in college football, he would be excluded. First of all, what does he know about what a good-looking college football team looks like? They were 16 out of 16 last year. 2 up, 10 down, lose to Memphis and hire their coach.
That being said, what did you think about the other additions with one Gus Malzahn being added to the committee?
I wasn't that wild about it. I thought, let's just get all Ole Miss haters on there. Let's find out what Jackie Sherrill's doing in his downtime.
Jackie Sherrill, my goodness.
Well, it did come up on the show, and it might have been off the air. It said, can you imagine if that room is split and it comes down to Alabama getting into the playoffs and it's Gus Malzahn with that vote?
It's just it's astounding to me who they picked for it, and we do. Ole Miss does we do have a former player, All-American Wesley Walls, on it, and last year it was fairly clean for the committee. But here's the real loggerhead I think we're building to this year. What are we going to do with a 12-0 Notre Dame? And you look at their schedule, and it's 11-1 or 12-0 right now. You can get ready for it. And I think Notre Dame was really good last year. I don't think they were jilted. It came down to head-to-head with Miami. But if Notre Dame had been in that bracket, Notre Dame might have been that team in the finals against Indiana. But what are we going to do with Notre Dame if they're 12-0? Are we going to give them a 1 or 2 seed? No way. That 1 or 2 seed's got to be for champions of Big Ten and champions of the SEC. So then are we going to put a 12-0 team as the 3 seed? And with the preferred seed, they won't have to play any of the on-campus games. And we know with going to 9 games in the SEC, I don't think the old saw of you can lose 2, that you have 2 mulligans, I don't think it exists. I think if you lose, we're back to 1 loss and you're at the back of the line, 2, you're going to a bowl that nobody wants to go to anymore, frankly.
In regards to the potential expansion, and we'll see each other in Tampa, and we'll obviously hear all the talking heads in Destin, Florida coming up during Memorial Day week. But how do you think this is going to ultimately play out in regards to the Big Ten and the SEC? Because this is Cold War stuff right now. We all remember that between the Russians and the Americans, because right now it seems like the Big Ten and the SEC are squaring each other down, waiting to see who gets Berlin first.
Yeah, and we know who's at the Brandenburg Gate. It's Fox and ESPN. They're the 2 eyeball to eyeball right now, and that's the 2 factions. It's Big Ten with Fox and the SEC with Disney, ESPN, ABC. And in the SEC, the last 2 years we've had in 12-team playoff, we've had 7 different teams out of the 16 that have made it: Bama, Georgia, Oklahoma, Texas, Tennessee, Texas A&M, and Ole Miss. We've had in discussion at least 4. LSU periphery the last 2 years, Mizzou kind of primary, South Carolina 2 years ago very primary, and Vanderbilt last year very primary. So that leaves 5 teams or 4 teams that haven't really been in the discussion. Well, 5 in the discussion, and Florida's going to get back in it. So then we're down to 4. Auburn's going to get back in it, we think. Arkansas, Kentucky, Mississippi State, they are deep at the back of the line. So we've got to be out there lobbying in the SEC we don't want 4, we don't want 5. We need to be trying to get 6 teams in the playoffs every year. We should be half that field every single year.
That scenario and that historical reference that both of you so eloquently played off of one another with, who would be Stalin, who would be FDR, and who would be Churchill in this whole college football?
FDR at Yalta gave away half of Eastern Europe.
Sure did.
I don't know if we want to go back to that historical marker, but that's where we are. We are at a standoff, and one side's gonna win because I think the SEC and the Big Ten have shown they're not going to be a partnership. I don't think the relationship right now is great at the commissioner level.
All right, let's talk a little Ole Miss football. We played some clips from Pete Golding a little bit earlier in regards to what's going on with spring ball. What's the early vibes from Oxford in regards to the people you talk to and around that football team?
Well, it's great vibes. I mean, just what the last 5 years has entailed, and that was led by Lane Kiffin, but Pete Golding sure played an instrumental part of it the last couple of years, and he did the opening bid for us upon being hired. Keep the team together, get them ready for the playoffs, advance in the playoffs, and take a run at the title. And he did, losing heartbreakingly in the semifinals in the Fiesta Bowl to a great Miami team. Miami is back. But Pete Golding is doing a good job, and you saw in his first spring press conference yesterday, of course, he went to the defensive side, and he said we needed 2 more defensive linemen really to bow up against Miami, and we've got them now. Ole Miss will be a defensive team next year. It won't be a defensive team first. When you have Trinidad Chambliss and you have Kwan Lacey and Deuce Alexander and the tight ends and that returning offensive line, of course it's going to be offense first. But next year, Ole Miss can win a 20-17 game, and really couldn't have done that this year.
With the way too earlys, as we're looking at the whole SEC, Brett, who is maybe the other most intriguing team or teams to you with just the unknowns? And I know there's a lot of unknowns for everyone right now.
I think it's Florida with John Summerall, but it's always Georgia. It's always going to be LSU. And what will Oklahoma do? Will he be able to do that 2 years in a row? I thought they were good. I didn't think Oklahoma was great last year. And look at the 2 games they lost in Norman, to Ole Miss and to Alabama in the playoffs.
That is good stuff. That is Brett Norsworthy, WHBQ Radio, also the Ole Miss Radio Network. I want to throw you a curveball here in regards to basketball, as obviously Chris Beard had a wonderful first year there in Oxford, Mississippi, getting into the Sweet 16. This year, not so much. Had a kind of a fairy tale week there in Nashville that ended before they could find themselves cutting down the Cinderella net. What's the feeling on Chris Beard and this Ole Miss basketball program going into the 2026-27 season?
Well, this was his 3rd year. His first year he did win 20
right, 3rd
games.
year.
And his second year he went to the Sweet 16, and everybody was, really getting the appetite for that. And he just never could get to these guys. He tried everything. He tried running them. He tried ignoring them. He tried berating them. He tried everything you can try to get to a team, and he didn't get to them until too late. He got to them finally in March in Nashville, and he made the good run. I really feel like if Ole Miss could have won that overtime game against Arkansas, they would have defeated Vanderbilt that Sunday and gotten to the NCAA tournament, but he didn't. He's a great coach. He's on all these lists of best coach to never win at all. He did have a runner-up at Texas Tech. And even after a bumpy 3rd year, people still feel really good about the future of Ole Miss basketball. And when you have an AD as a basketball guy, it's very important to Keith Carter, who really has been the ringleader of the whole athletics department with what he's done with really every sport. And it's hard right now. We see it. And it's why the LSU men's basketball job, it showed that they are serious of being an every sport school, because the money's tough out here, but they didn't sacrifice anything. They didn't throw men's basketball overboard, and they go out and they make the great hire for Will Wade.
You're a Major League Baseball fan, Brett. Where are you on ABS? Are you enjoying the challenge system?
I love it, Landrum. I got used to it when they first introduced it in minor league baseball, so I've been used to it, and I saw the drama build when it pops up on that screen. and I like that it's showing what I always thought was the laziest group of officials, umpires, referees in any sport was at the big league baseball level. They did this to themselves. Remember the neighborhood play at second? When,
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes,
Mhm.
I mean, sometimes they didn't have the ball secure. They weren't near the bag. I mean, just nothing. And I think of guys like Angel Hernandez and Joe West, and now poor C.B. Buckner, as he had the worst week of his life officiating.
It's been bad. Been real bad.
It's been real bad, and I like it. We all know from the first time we go out to Little League Baseball, the strike zones from the letters or something else to the knees. And we got away from the high and low strike, and we got away from anything on the black. I'm glad we got it back, and it will make for one of the leagues, either American League or National League, somebody's going to win a batting title hitting less than 300. I don't think that's ever happened.
All right. I know this was not planned, but we can't let you go without doing this segment. Cue the music, Conrad, and we're going to do this. I know you did this on your radio show in Memphis. I think it was last week. Here we go. Your I Ain't Scared bold prediction for the Major League Baseball season. Brett Norsworthy, what you got?
For the 25th consecutive year, my same prediction. Cardinals over the Yankees in the World Series.
Yes! You heard that, Conrad. Conrad being the Yankee fan. That's right. You heard Brad.
When was the last time y'all played in the World Series?
2011. No, through 2013, right?
Against the Red Sox. The
Yep.
last time the Cardinals and the Yankees met in the World Series was 1964, but I've stayed with it for 25 straight years with my baseball predictions.
Yeah, last one we won was 2011, Conrad. When was the last one the Yankees won?
2009.
Oh.
Hey, but we played
2009,
one 2
that's
years
right.
ago.
Conrad, you
But
guys
what
just
does work?
retired. You just retired another number as we spoke.
Now, I like college baseball, but here's my preference for at the big league level. I like that we have a wood bat. I like that we have actual chalk in the batter's box at every big league stadium, and we only have one first base.
No, you don't like the green base? Oh, come on. Everybody loves the green base. It's so weird.
Come on now.
It's awful.
First time I went out there, I said, "What is that?" I mean,
We did the
really,
same
what-
thing.
Yeah,
What is that?
it took us off guard for sure.
No,
I mean, I don't remember ankle injuries being so rampant that we had to do that. We only played for 150 years with one first base.
Listen, when we played baseball, I mean, we didn't have these pop-up bases like they do now.
no.
I mean, we had that old metal stop in the middle of the base.
That
and
thing got augured in.
of course, I did break my ankle.
Well,
I cannot take a field seriously that has AstroTurf batters boxes.
Oh, that's bad. It's bad. It really is. Well, Brad,
And I wonder what the scouts think of middle infielders and how they field batted balls, because you're going to have to play at the big league level on dirt, and you might get a funny hop.
mm-hmm.
I'm with you. It's weird.
Very weird. Well, Brett, hope you have a wonderful show this afternoon on
Thank
WHBQ
you.
Radio, and we'll catch up with you again very soon.
Thank you, Brad.
I can't wait. Can't wait, man. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That is Brett Norsworthy, joined us on the Higginbotham Hotline. You deserve solutions that are built for you. Higginbotham is your one-source solution for insurance, financial, and HR services.
Fun conversation with Brett. More college football news worth discussing. We'll do it next. The Wednesday edition of Three Man Front rolls on right here on Jocks. Was a fun visit with our friend Brett Norsworthy, WHBQ there in Memphis, also a part of the Ole Miss Football Radio Network. Major League Baseball going on right now. Braves fans, good news. Braves had added to their 2-1 lead. They now lead 5-1 as they head to the top of the sixth inning, trying to take 2 of 3 from the A's before heading out this afternoon. And they start a 4-game series with the Arizona Diamondbacks starting tomorrow. Also in action right now, you've got Baltimore leading Texas 4-2 as they play in the top of the 5th inning. They're all knotted at 1 as they played 2 in Philadelphia between the Phillies and the Nationals. Pirates leading the Reds 3-1 there. And Miami, who's off to a good start, but the Marlins have been playing the White Sox. They lead 6-0 as they're in a rain delay. They're in St. Louis between the Cardinals and the Mets. We need the Cards to come up big. We need the Mets lose more games.
Yeah, Mets fans were not happy last night after that performance against the Cardinals. So kudos to Pat, and
Yeah, good job, Pat.
I will never feel sorry for the Mets overspending and underperforming. It's hilarious every year.
That's right. It is also storm season here in the state of Alabama. The weather has gotten warmer. That means storms, and that means that you've got to keep your family protected. That's our friends there at Noto Roofing, locally owned and operated. The local owners, Sammy and Matt, they're doing a wonderful job. They've got a project right now and set to start at my house. We're getting a new roof. They came out, did the free inspection, and said, hey, it's available. It's free to all Jocks listeners. Chris came out. He walked the roof. He said, you got hail damage. We got with the insurance company. Claims adjuster came out. They determined, yes, you do have hail damage. You're getting a new roof. All of the details and all of the things that he's let me know during the process, it's really opened my eyes to how many problematic areas I had on an aging roof. Just have that peace of mind. For no other reason, just to get them out there and tell you you're good to go. They're not going to tell you you need something if you don't. It's Noto Roofing, locally owned and operated. Sammy's going to answer the phone when you give him a call, 205-848-2299, or go to Noto, N-O-T-O, that's N-O-T-O, roofing.com. Always tell them Landrum from Jocks sent you. So a fun conversation with Brett Norsworthy talking college football playoff. Ole Miss, seems like Pete Golding, things going swimmingly right now for the Alabama former DC. Just seems like a better fit. Now, you win games there, you're going to be a good fit, but Pete Golding seems like he is one for Ole Miss, and Ole Miss is one for Pete Golding.
2 peas in a pod.
2 peas in a pod. Very well said. Coming up the next hour, we got more college football news and notes that we'll get to. Why was Deion Sanders holding a fishing pole during practice? Only Deion, right? Only Coach Prime. We'll get into that and much more. 3-Man Front, the Wednesday edition rolls on a beautiful spring day here in the state of Alabama. April Fools. 1 o'clock, three-man front. It is the fourth hour of the program. If you've missed any portion, it's been a jam-packed show. It always is. But Brian Edwards, our Vegas insider in the first hour. You had Chris Stewart in the 11 o'clock hour talking Alabama, the offseason. Looking forward for Coach Nate Oates. Matt Moscona from ESPN Radio in Baton Rouge. A lot of happening since we talked with Matt last, with the newest being the addition of Will Wade coming back as the men's basketball coach. Terry Bowden, what a great visit there. If you like nostalgia and storytelling, that was a lot of fun. And, of course, Brett Norsworthy, the Southern Gentleman, an all-star lineup there. You can find it at JocksFM.com in the three-man front podcast. You can find it there each and every day, and JocksFM.com for all of our programming.
So a couple of the college football headlines. Chris Lowe from On3, he had a sit-down discussion with Kalen DeBoer, some interesting quotes in an article that you can find on the On3 website by Chris Lowe. Talking about Kalen DeBoer, and that Kalen DeBoer knew what he was getting into when he took the Alabama job. These are direct quotes from Kalen DeBoer to Chris Lowe. There's noise everywhere you coach. There were at Sioux Falls and at Fresno State. Not like this is obviously, but wherever you are, you block that out. He also went on to say, I didn't come here to follow Coach Saban only to turn around after 2 years and go somewhere else. I mean, this is Alabama, end of quote.
Yeah, and I understand
Why are you shaking your head?
There's ego and there's pride involved.
In my veins, Pat.
Did that fire you up?
Inject that, yeah.
Well, I think with any of these coaches, I think that at the end of the day, they do end up thinking how we would think if we were one of those coaches making $13 million a year and how much of that is guaranteed. If they get fired, you know what? Life goes on. It could be worse. I think a lot of them at the end of the day, they're just like, why am I worried about it? Just keep your head down, do the best you can every day. It never occurred to me that Kalen DeBoer got to Tuscaloosa and went, wow, the SEC is as good as advertised. I'm out of here.
Well, I mean, we talked about it. I mean, he mentioned in the quote, we've talked about it since the day that it was announced he was going to be the head coach at Alabama. You don't take this job, and that's, I think, part of what endeared a lot of people, myself included, but a portion of the Alabama fan base to him is we spent a lot of time talking about, or people chiming in and saying, well, who wants to follow up Nick Saban? You want the guy that wants to follow Nick Saban, because there's not a lot of people that would want to take on that challenge. And yes, the results have not been what they were under Nick Saban yet, but clearly he understood the task at hand when he took over the job. He's doing the best job that he can. And, you know, like you said, right, you do the best job you can. You try to win as many games as you can. And if you get fired, you get fired. And right now, I think he's doing an excellent job. And in my opinion, probably has the least amount of pressure on him right now than he has at any point in the last 2 years.
It was big getting to the college football playoff last year.
It was big winning a game in the college football playoff.
Yes, I agree with that. But getting there and then making a little bit of noise, but it is hard to get out of your mind what happened in the Rose Bowl.
It is. And the other part of it is the expectation is you missed the playoff, then you made the playoff and won a game. What's next? You can't go back, right? You can't keep going backwards. You have to keep moving forward. Now it's, I mean, you saw with Ole Miss. Can you get to a semifinal? Can you get to a national championship game? Can you win a national championship? Because at the end of the day, right, if Kalen DeBoer can't bring a title to Tuscaloosa, he's not going to be there forever.
You know, Alabama had a talented roster. So I think maybe the deep down or maybe spoken out loud fear for Alabama fans and going back to the Rose Bowl walls. Is the chasm really that wide between where Alabama football is and where Indiana football is? Is it 35 points wide? Because you're not going to be able to convince me that Indiana had a better roster, more talented players. So then it's, okay, did you get out X'd and O'd? No, I know that players made. But I'm saying that's probably.
Yeah, that's where you're going to turn.
The natural fear.
And I think the one thing that, again, not that this is what you want to have to rely on, but I don't think it hurt that they then went and did the same thing to Oregon.
No.
And you look at it as, okay, well, it's not maybe just an Alabama issue. It's maybe that Indiana team really was just that good. I know Miami kept it very, very close with them.
And then that's when everybody started asking the question, how is Indiana just that good?
Yeah. And now, we'll
everybody's trying to replicate it.
Yeah. And we will see if Cignetti and the Hoosiers can do it again this year.
Also, yesterday, a lot was discussed about the Iron Bowl period that Auburn is now participating in at the end of their practice. Ty Buster, who's one of Auburn's offensive linemen, he met with the media yesterday, and he kind of explained what that meant, the Iron Bowl period at practice.
For the Iron Bowl period, it's just like strain. Like the Iron Bowl, people feel like it's lost its juice, and Coach Gullis is trying to bring that back. So like he makes like the Iron Bowl like full intensity, like just going all hard as you can, like giving it your all, because that's what the Iron Bowl should be like.
We all agreed. I think it's good, especially when you have these roster turnovers, to kind of an education process. It's like when you go get a new job somewhere, they have an orientation, and they say, here are the principles of working for this company. This is what we expect.
Well, and it's one thing for Brian Harsin, because I remember he did it in his first year at Auburn, talking about we have an opponent across the state, 365, and he said all of that. But this is the first time that I can remember a player referencing a specific period in practice that was dedicated and pointing right at that game, that rival from across the state. I think it's good. But going back to the original conversation and discussion we had, I think that more than anything, it's to let everybody on that roster, coaching staff, look, this is the emphasis, this is the importance of that game. They're all important, but are you doing what seems like mindless drills over and over and over? There's a method to this madness, and there's a point, and they can point to the Alabama game at the end of the regular season. My thoughts.
No, I think that's an astute observation, Landrum.
Thank you.
An astute. I didn't know you knew that word.
It's a big one.
Well, it's after Narcissi and the Greek alphabet.
We're working through our A's right now. Astute's the last one we learned.
Braves are in action right now. What's the latest? They were up 5-1. Is it still 5-1?
If you're asking me that, it's probably 6-5.
What?
He thinks you're setting him up, Pat.
No, I'm not setting him up.
No, it's 5-1. 5-1, top of the 7th.
I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, you knew.
I get it.
Oh, when he asked, is it 5-1? Oh, is it still 5-1? He's like, oh no, what has happened?
You remember on opening day when I beseeched you? I said, you need to enjoy opening day.
Mm-hmm.
Because you never know what's going to happen. Collective bargaining agreement ends December 1st.
We're not having an opening day next year, Pat, I know.
Well, I was looking at some numbers that came out yesterday afternoon. This is just mind-boggling. The Major League Baseball Players Association, if there's any indication that they are preparing for war, what I'm about to tell you is going to show you exactly what I mean. So we're a season to go before there's a likely labor shortage, or I should say a stoppage in Major League Baseball. The Major League Baseball Players Association, they have reported to the federal government they have amassed total assets of $519.3 million in 2025. That is up from $353 million. So almost $200 million increase from year to year, okay? So basically, what they are doing is they are not paying out certain union liabilities, like they're withholding group licensing for jerseys, T-shirts, hats, and those type things. Like it's going into the main coffer, but they're not distributing it to the players because the players want a rainy day, so to speak, an account that if this is a prolonged situation where people will still get some form of payment by the Players Association. But to go from $353 million to $500 million that they're going to have access to. So when the work stops, people can still get paid. Now, not to the extent that obviously some of these contracts.
What's the biggest issue on the work stoppage?
It's going to be the owners want a salary cap. Players say, no. Why would we agree to a salary cap? Owners want.
You're limiting my earning potential.
Correct. I mean,
where have we heard this before?
The owners want basically what the NFL has. That's what they want.
Do we also have to worry about a potential walkout by the umpires for getting embarrassed for 162 games and not wanting to do that anymore?
It's been bad.
It's been really bad.
Really bad.
Yeah, we might see old Buckner hang it up after this year.
So with the salary cap, because I know that's been a topic for a long time. Would that come with a floor in terms of you must spend this X and O? Because again, for a team like the A's that are not competitive, that's not good for the sport.
Yeah, the A's, the Pirates are historically two
Correct.
franchises that just do not spend the money. That's one of the plans. One of the working plans is to have
that needs to be implemented. Yeah.
Right. That you have to at least spend, just throwing out, it's a nice round number, $100 million.
Yeah.
You got to have your opening day roster needs to be $100 million.
You can't go sign a bunch of Pedro Serranos and Roger Dorns
Correct.
and tank on purpose.
But Scott Boras and company are going to say, you're limiting my earning. We've never had one. Why do we need to have one now? The game is awash with money, because it is. These owners are making a lot of money. Every single owner. And that includes the ones that do not have very good baseball teams.
That's where I'm recording all of these broadcasts. I'm just going to play them on the days next year when we don't have baseball. I'm convinced we're not going to.
And the part you hate is a situation take place like it did in the 80s when, the Montreal Expos had the best team in baseball.
Yes, they did. That was a good year for the strike to get us. As a Braves fan, because they were in our division. They were not just the best team in the division, they were the best team in baseball. And they got hosed.
Lost a whole year. No World Series.
Next thing they did, they looked up and they were in Puerto Rico on a Wednesday night going, what happened?
Mm-hmm. Also, we've been talking a lot about the ABS. If you saw the viral video of CB Buckner, just a horrible, horrible call at first base last night. I looked at some numbers through Monday. There have been 52 ABS challenges. 52. That was on Monday alone, okay? 52. 15 games, 52 challenges. What do you think the average game time of a Major League Baseball game was on Monday night? 15 games, 52 ABS challenges.
You have the number for last year?
I do not, because this is just for this was from Monday night.
Yeah,
This is not like so far this season. This is just Monday night.
3 hours and 3 minutes.
Yeah, I'm like 2 hours and 55 minutes.
2 hours and 38 minutes.
Okay, that's still good.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
The game was trending 315, 320 just a couple of years ago. That was the biggest complaint from fans.
Yeah.
It's too boring. It needs to be faster. It needs to be. But to have all of these ABS challenges and umpire reviews and things of that nature, the 15 games on Monday night, the average game time was 2 hours and 38 minutes.
Well, and that was my concern, was how long is it going to make these games go? And it's 10 seconds a challenge, which is great. I'm fine with that.
Well, the ABS is so quick.
Well, and that's the thing, right? In football or basketball, when you have to go to the monitor and it takes 5 minutes sometimes, that's when it drags on. If you could do that in 30 seconds, I don't think people would have a problem with it.
You know what's happened is that basically college basketball has traded places with Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
Because the last 5 to 10 minutes of a college basketball
it takes
game,
45 minutes.
It's ridiculous. It's horrible. Absolutely horrible.
I agree.
Whereas now, and I've said it before, Major League Baseball umpires, they're just lazy because they know it can be corrected and nothing's going to be done to them. I mean, it's like, hey, it's like last night. Buckner was not even looking at the play. And as an umpire, like, if you jump over first base, you just assume that he touched first base. But he wasn't even looking at the play. Then he said he wasn't, or he didn't touch the base.
Well, watching this game, there's already been 5 missed that were outside of the zone that they could have challenged that they didn't.
Somebody brought this up the other night during a Cardinals game, and this was fascinating. It kind of blew my mind for a minute. We'll see what y'all think. What if you're in a situation in the game and you got a guy on first and he's stealing second base, okay? And let's just say the pitch.
Oh, yeah, I got you.
Do you know where I'm going with this?
Mm-hmm.
That ultimately, it was, let's say, a ball, but you need it to be a strike because of the game situation. Does the catcher then ask for a review
to
as opposed
cancel
to
out the stolen base.
Correct.
Yeah.
Kind of.
I'm actually surprised that hasn't happened already.
Well, I'm sure it will, but you see the kind of the reverse psychology.
It's a good point. I don't like that.
Because there have been teams, and we talked about this yesterday, that there are teams that basically they're telling their batters, do not challenge in the early innings. Wait till the very back end of the game. When we absolutely have to have that in our back pocket.
Unless it's just blatantly.
Yes, I mean,
obvious.
Some of these like right down the middle. I mean, in the first inning.
Oh yeah, that one the other day was bad.
There's some days where I'd be okay, I think, with an ABS just full time.
Well, that's where it's going.
But don't you have to have a human being back there?
The human being will be back there to hand baseballs to the catcher on foul balls.
Clean up the plate.
There will be,
You'll still have first base, third. You'll still have those guys.
No, I still think you'll have someone standing behind home plate. He just won't be calling balls and strikes.
There's still things that he has to do that I guess they could get technology to probably cover, but probably want to have a human being back there.
Well, one thing that, like a foul tip, he's still got to be there because he's got to hear it.
True, yeah.
He's got to make that call.
Not if we insert that chip technology, which alleviates a lot of this and everything.
Well, if you do that, then you ultimately can get rid of base umpires too, because it will all be about timing of when a ball would get to the base as opposed to being on site and here.
Golly, what was Hebe Buckner do for the last 2 years before retirement? He's 63.
Oh, he's hanging on by a thread then. Yeah.
Showing up at Trustful on a Wednesday night.
Come on. We need umpires.
He's on the crew with Pat.
Let's go.
Pat informs him, hey, you know you're behind the plate, right?
You better believe it.
I don't bring pads.
No, it's in my contract now. I don't do that.
Mm-mm.
I've retired. All right, we will continue on this Wednesday. This is Three Man Front on Jocks.
121, three-man front. We continue. Braves leading the A's 5-1 as they play in the top of the 8th inning there at Truist. Getaway days for the Braves. Other Major League Baseball action going on. Orioles leading the Rangers 7-2. Reds trailing the Pirates 4-3. Phillies and the Nats tied at 1. Blue Jays over the Rockies 1-0 right now. And your Cardinals and the Mets are now playing in the top of the first. And there's no score there after a delay. That's good news. Spring, it's good news, right? But that means that there are pests like mosquitoes that you got to worry about around your home. Well, you don't have to worry if you have our friends at Stark Exterminators to come and take care of you. Stark has been family-owned for over 62 years. 100% of your customer satisfaction is guaranteed. And with spring finally being here, don't forget, that means mosquitoes are out in full force. Stark's going to use the most environmentally friendly mosquito control available. Whether you're trying to fight off the itchy mosquito bites or you need to set up preventative service, you can trust the expert at Stark Exterminators. Call today for the free home or business pest inspection. 855-STARK now, or go to starkexterminators.com. One of their talented professionals will come to your home and or your place of business, inspect it thoroughly inside and out, address any current issues, and then any that may come up down the road. Once again, Stark Exterminators, 855-STARK now, or go to starkexterminators.com. And as always, tell them Landrum from Jock sent you.
Well, last night in college baseball, the Alabama Crimson Tide, they continued their incredible run right now. They had a dramatic win, 4-3 over Jacksonville State. Brady Neal provided the game-winning swing, launching his solo home run with 2 outs in the 9th inning. The Tide has now won 8 straight games. That's the most consecutive victories by Alabama this season. Alabama will remain on the road. They travel to number 11 Oklahoma to begin a 3-game series on Thursday. Meanwhile, the Auburn Tigers, they have hit a bit of a snag on the road right now. They were at home last night, but Auburn was run-ruled by the third-best team in America, Georgia Tech. Auburn struck for 3 runs, I should say, in the 2nd inning, but was held scoreless the rest of the way as Georgia Tech won 13-3 as they run-ruled the Auburn Tigers. Auburn now 20-8 on the season. They return to Plainsman's Park for the 8-game homestand, which will start on Thursday as number 15 Arkansas comes into town. Arkansas got beat on a walk-off last night by Missouri State. That game was on the road. That game was in Springfield.
Poor Ty. Need
Missouri.
to check on him.
Yep.
Auburn was in Atlanta last night.
Oh, it was in Atlanta?
Yeah. The first matchup, they were at Plainsman.
That's right.
That's a rough midweek game.
Yeah.
Against Georgia Tech.
It's been a rough stretch for Auburn.
Yeah, it has. Yeah. They have not looked good. Their bats, they're going silent.
So Auburn now 20-8, and it'll be an interesting matchup against Arkansas coming up this weekend.
We'll have a bunch of SEC teams in regionals for sure.
Oh, there's no doubt. Yesterday wrapped up the NFL owners meetings, and there were some things that came out of it yesterday, including some good news if you're not a streamer for NFL games. It has been announced that after 2 straight streaming exclusive years on NFL Christmas, the slate will now include 1 game that will be on over-the-air free TV. Remember, all 3 was on streaming services last year, 2 on Netflix, 1 on Amazon. And so now 1 of those games will be on Fox. It'll mark the first time since 2023 that a Christmas Day game was set for regular broadcast television, not a streamer. But 2 other games will air on Netflix, which is entering the final season of its contract to carry Christmas Day games. Netflix aired the only 2 Christmas games in the 2024 season and 2 of the 3 last year. So free TV.
So you're telling me the
football.
networks were like, you know what? Golly, there are a lot of people that are interested in watching the league on Christmas Day.
A lot of people are sick of their families. It's time for kickoff.
We want a piece of that action.
Also, the NFL owners on Tuesday unanimously approved the Jaguars' proposal to play the 2027 home schedule at Camping World Stadium in Orlando, Florida. The Jags will play a reduced capacity at Everbank Stadium this year. Then they'll go to Orlando the next year, and their stadium's getting a $1.4 billion renovation, and then they'll head back to Jacksonville. So this is really interesting because Orlando gets an opportunity to make a pitch potentially for the NFL if the NFL ever wants to expand again in the United States. I think all of us believe that it will be Europe first before they pick a couple of other cities in North America. But Orlando has been clamoring for a professional franchise outside their basketball team for a long time. They have thrown up the idea of a baseball team, which obviously Nashville is going to be in line for a baseball team before Orlando. But obviously, if it goes well, never know.
So, are the Jaguars going to have to call Craneworks to move their stadium across the ocean to Europe? How is that going to work once they renovate it? Because I
don't know. I'm reading this. This is the stadium of the, what's it called? Stadium of the Future.
Everbank Stadium.
Yes. This is what they're advertising. The protective canopy. Beat the heat with the next generation transparent protective shell, providing sun, wind, and rain protection, reducing a heat retention by 70+%.
That sounds good.
Conrad, you'd be into this. First-class interactive social bars, local food options, and retail venues.
That sounds like me.
So they have stores and they have restaurants.
Oh, so they're doing like is that inside the stadium? Is there going to be like a battery type situation where they have the...
This is inside the stadium.
Oh, okay.
This big widened concourse. So they took the protective stadium plan and they went really, really wide.
Gotcha.
Concourses and communal spaces. Trying to see if there's anything else that you'd be interested in. Oh, there's a nature park right outside.
Oh, that's perfect.
Walk through the public subtropical Floridian Nature Park, available for visitors and residents year-round, to the elevated mid-level of the stadium on event days.
So just iguanas? Just a bunch of iguanas, probably?
Mm-hmm.
That sounds fun.
This kind of looks like SoFi from the outside. It's like SoFi, Jerry World, and Mercedes-Benz.
All had a baby?
All had a crazy night.
It looks immaculate. I'm excited to see how it works out. I just also think it's fascinating that they're doing that, and the common belief is that the Jaguars would be the team that would move overseas, but we'll see. We'll see.
Apparently, Mr. Khan has gotten the word from Roger Goodell and the rest of the owners that you build a new stadium, you're going to stay put.
I guess so.
Or he could sell the team in Jacksonville and go take over one of the London franchises.
Yeah, maybe that's... Did he sell his yacht? He was trying to sell it,
The Kismet?
Right? Yeah.
I think he still got it. I think he decided not to.
Okay.
Maybe one of those mutual funds turned. I don't know.
It's a good-looking boat.
There have been situations in the NFL where owners have literally traded teams.
Who did that?
Back in the 60s. Mm-hmm.
Mark Cuban ought to buy it.
That's not what happened with the Baltimore Colts, is it?
No. They just straight out left.
In the middle of the night.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I believe it was, I think the Rams did it. I think the LA Rams, I think the Chargers. Yeah.
They like just a straight up
trade. The owners just basically traded teams.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm. Crazy things happened back then.
If you're going to trade with one Major League Baseball team right now, would it be the Dodgers?
If you're an owner?
Oh, if I could have one, yeah.
I don't know. Do I want that?
Oh, the amount of money that they make overseas.
I was about to say the Japanese market for that.
It's unbelievable.
Because one day somebody will tabulate it, and it'll probably be after his career's over. But how much money they actually make from the Ohtani deal,
mm-hmm.
and then off Yamamoto and all these other guys that they're going to attract. It's crazy to think that somebody that's making $70 million a year technically is underpaid. Probably.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
The value is just unbelievable.
Stupid.
You could have said the same about Nick Saban.
And they just and they sold the naming rights to Dodger Stadium to a Japanese.
You're right. Yep.
A Japanese wardrobe company. It's no longer Dodger Stadium.
Is it stuff you think I'd wear?
Maybe
It'd be like the Tua shirt you bought and wore one time and got rid of.
Yeah. Nope. Does he still have that line?
I doubt it. I doubt it.
So I guess Yankee Stadium. Wrigley, Fenway, Yankee Stadium, like the last of the Mohicans in regards to not selling the rights to their stadium.
Won't happen, Pat.
Because the Dodgers was one of the last holdouts.
Mm-hmm. Not gonna happen.
Now the Wrigley family, was that naming rights, or they just owned it?
No, they just owned it. It's just like originally Busch Stadium.
Yeah.
But now, because the Busch family has not owned the Cardinals since 1996, because Budweiser is based in St. Louis, they have maintained and paid the money to the franchise to continue to call it Busch Stadium. So they get naming rights. It's not because the name of the owner or who used to own the team.
It just works out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys there could be worse backing behind your franchise than what you've had historically than Anheuser-Busch.
But towards the end of them owning it, they were one of the cheapest franchises in all of baseball.
Then they turned into like you were owned by Zima.
No, then the guy who owned it, he put a lot of money forth. He's owned it since 96. We will continue on. This is the Wednesday edition of Three Man Front on Jocks.
Well, whether it's more NCAA tournament action going on, some UFL, or even some baseball, go check it out at Big Whiskey's because you can catch all of the games. They offer great food with plenty of big screens. They have a full menu with something to please everyone. and the most extensive bar in town. The outdoor patio and game area is great for families, especially this time of year. So go and see them. They're in the Stadium Trace Village near the Hoover Met, and they're also off of Highway 280 as well.
We were talking about this just briefly just a second ago, and I mentioned back in the 60s, early 70s, there was a trade between NFL franchise owners, and that was between Robert Irsay and Carol Rosenblum. That was the owner of the Los Angeles Rams, the Rosenblum, and Robert Irsay of the Colts. They literally traded franchises. Like all the players from the Rams, they all went to Baltimore. All the players from Baltimore and the owner went to Los Angeles.
That's pretty cut and dry.
And then, of course, the Irsay family made history.
There's no cash considerations or draft picks, anything like that. It's
Irsay purchased the Los Angeles Rams for $19 million and then immediately traded them to Rosenblum and the Baltimore Colts because he wanted to be in the LA market. So he technically bought the franchise for $19 million, but then they made the franchise switch.
Interesting.
That is fascinating. Don't think that would happen in today's world.
No.
Cannot imagine that.
Mr. Goodell would not allow that to happen.
Text line is open, 205-834-9450. We take you there now. Going back to umpires, Major League Baseball, this listener firing in. Umps are useless anyhow. Since a no call on the obvious infield fly in the Atlanta-St. Louis playoff game back in 2017.
It's a great call.
Completely.
It was a fantastic call. It is textbook. It was an infield fly.
Never.
Textbook. It's a great call. One of the best
Fat
in
Joe.
Major League Baseball history.
What is so funny about the CB Buckner game with the Red Sox? The Red Sox ran out of challenges, and I went back and watched this on TikTok, and Buckner really started to put the screws to the Red Sox. He blew calls that were so bad, it was ridiculous, but funny.
Well, he had another bad day today.
Yeah, you will see a clip of him absolutely getting just slobber knocked by a foul ball. He was behind the plate, and it took him to his knees.
Someone asking, can a pitcher challenge? Yes, they can. I have seen where the early results are that pitchers have not been very successful challenging as opposed to catchers.
Yes, and the batter challenges seem to have had the highest success rate. But yeah, I've seen a couple from the pitchers, but outside of the one that I think Pat sent me the video where it was, I mean, literally right down the pipe, like the heart of the plate, and it got called a ball. Yeah, a lot of those have been a little trickier, it seems.
I know everyone's giving him blank, but you don't know how hard it is to judge a 100-mile-per-hour fastball in real time behind the plate. I don't know about 100. Is 94 much different than 100? Because I'm pretty sure I had some guys top out there. To me,
I'm not going to say it's easy, but again, you're a professional, and when you're making similar, I mean, this was going back to the Yankees game the other night where they had 5 challenges in the first 2 innings of the game. They got them all right. He was calling the same stuff every time. It was the pitchers were an inch or two below the strike zone, and he kept calling them strikes. And at a certain point, Aaron Boone literally started jawing off at CB Buckner and said, "Make an adjustment.
These guys are
you're
well
making
paid.
the same mistake."
It's not like you're asking CB Buckner to take time away from his grandkids out of the ballpark to come out on the diamond and ump this next game. He's made a career. He made his debut in 1996 in the major leagues.
Not saying it's easy, but you've been doing it for 30 years. Come on.
Collins in Pell City, can we unplug and reset the season? Asking as a Red Sox fan.
Nope. It's been a struggle for them early on.
Oh, Faye has chimed in.
How's Faye doing?
Speaking of fastball, I got mine. XOXO.
That's good.
Yeah.
She does.
She is rounding third. Guess who's standing at home plate?
I was about to say, I think she's, probably not her first time making it to home plate.
Do you have a slide rule or?
Just no spikes. Just no spikes.
Yeah. Okay. Someone just typing in Conrad, all explanations.
Okay.
Exclamations, not explanations. Y'all remember Angel Martinez? Be thankful. Yes, we do. That was Pat's favorite. Angel Hernandez.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He
Angel
was,
Martinez was great too. Completely different line of work. After listening to Brett Norsworthy, there needs to be a 20 to 24 team playoff. Thank you for all of your texts.
Did you see Faye's texted back in?
She has texted back in. She says, I ain't rounding third. 3 home runs this week, and it's only hump day.
You are just a treasure, Faye.
Oh, she is. She's something. She is something. 205-834-9450. That's the text line. Pat has questions every day. We try our best to answer them. Next on 3-Man Front. .145 here on 3-Man Fronts. One final in the books. Braves beat the A's 5-1. So the Braves go 4-2 on the 6-game homestand to start the season. They play in Arizona and start a 4-game series with the Diamondbacks coming up tomorrow night. Got to tell you about the Garage in Pelham, the Garage in Pelham.com. That is the place if you have anything that you need done to your car, truck, SUV. And now with the warm months here, they're running a special right now. You got to get that diagnostic check on your AC service in your car. Don't wait until you're on a trip and you're around Greenville heading down to the coast and the Gulf of America, and you realize that your AC's not working. The kids are screaming. The wife's unhappy. You don't need that. They get $40 off coupons. You go to the website right now, thegarageandpelham.com. When you do that, read the reviews. They're 5-star from across the board. There's reasons why folks from all over the state that originally were here in the Birmingham metro area, they had their vehicle serviced by the Garage, and they still bring their vehicles back. Whether it's an oil change, an engine replacement, you need anything like that. Tires, they can handle tires. Certified dealer in that department as well. It's the Garage, and you're going to feel comfortable once you go into that professional lobby. Robert and Richie there to greet you. Bob is the owner. Charitable folks. They're just good people. It's garageandpelham.com. Always tell them Landrum from Jock sent you. 5 questions from Pat. This is what we call Pat Ponders.
I want to know what you're thinking. Tell me what's on your mind.
It's time for Pat Ponders.
All right, question number 1 deals with April Fool's Day, which is today. Back on this date, 2012, Cardinal Lance Berkman plays an epic April's Fool prank on teammate Adam Wainwright. So between innings at a spring training game down in Florida, Wainwright's white Chevrolet Silverado pickup is driven upon the warning track. The public address announcer states that the truck will be given away to a lucky fan. Needless to say, a stunned Wainwright watches from the bench as the prize winners are awarded his truck. They climb in the back of the truck, and Lance Berkman, who's driving the truck, exits the stadium, and Adam Wainwright believes his truck has been given away to a lucky fan.
That's great.
So the question is, with this being April Fool's Day, it doesn't have to be on April Fool's Day, but what has been the biggest practical joke that has ever been played on you?
I don't know if I can share mine.
Oh, no.
Oh, I remember that one. No, you can't share that one.
The one my wife did with the test? Is that what you're thinking of?
No, I'm thinking about the other one where you guys actually it was not done upon you. You guys had catfished somebody.
What?
Oh, yeah. Tell that one.
I don't think I've heard this.
Oh, man, this is so awful.
Oh,
Okay,
no.
I will try to keep this as clean as I can.
So this is the catfish story or your wife's story?
Yeah, I can't do my wife gave me a fake test one time to convince me that I was something that I'm not. And do you remember that one, Landrum? Yeah, that was good on her part. But I can't share that one. So when we were in high school, this is when the show Catfish had just gotten really popular on MTV. And so this is awful. So a group of us, we made a fake Facebook account, and we took the profile picture of a girl that used to go to our school that had moved out of state. And we convinced one of our friends that she was real and she was moving back, and we catfished him into... We took it too far, to say the least. And essentially what happened, or the conclusion of the story, was one day at baseball practice, we had essentially lined up for him that she was going to meet him somewhere, and it was us that met him there. And we had to explain to our baseball coach why he was we were at baseball practice and he wouldn't talk to anybody. He was pissed off. Like it was bad. We took it too far. And we had to explain to our coach to take it easy on him, because we had catfished him and convinced him that he was meeting this girl to hook up with her. And then he found out that it was all his friends that had messed with him.
That's good.
All right, worst practical joke or the best practical joke done on you, Molly?
Well, this didn't happen to me, but we did this to one of my friends in college.
Molly.
No one's ever pulled a prank on me.
No, I was disappointed because you were involved in some shenanigans.
Well, it wasn't okay. It really wasn't that bad.
Was there drinking?
No, there was not, Landrum, I promise.
I smell smoke.
No, but me and all my friends in college, we loved dating shows like The Bachelor, The Bachelorette, Love Island, that sort of thing. And we had like gotten a friend's dad's work email, or like make a fake email that was like a producer of a TV show, to email my friend saying that, like, congrats, like you've made it past through the interview process to be on the next season of The Bachelor. And she was freaking out, like, oh my gosh, I wonder who it's gonna be. But then a couple weeks later, because like she kept talking about it, we just played along, like, oh yeah, like when's your scheduled phone interview with this person? They're like, well, they keep pushing it back. And then we had to like,
see, we did that. My buddies got me to pretend to be one of the Hollywood execs and convince our other buddy, who was absolutely convinced, and we recorded it, that he was going on Fear Factor.
That's good. See, ours was
really
The
good.
Bachelor. Mm-hmm.
And just asking him crazy questions.
We did that with a guy that worked here with Wheel of Fortune. You remember that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You haven't told him yet?
No. Not yet.
We haven't told him that the money's no good.
Exactly. It's going to be Monopoly money. Sorry.
He has no idea that I grew up with Seacrest. Oh, thanks for that. That was a solid. Yeah,
all right.
Go try to cash that check.
All right, next question. The NFL has officially awarded the 2029 Super Bowl to the city of Las Vegas, marking the city's second time hosting the game in 5 years after its successful debut with the Super Bowl back in 2024 at Allegiant Stadium. Now, the decision signals that Las Vegas is likely to become a regular host moving forward. So if you were commissioner of the NFL and you were determining a 4-city rotation for the Super Bowl, what are your 4 cities?
I would go that one. Vegas, Miami, Indy, Houston.
Those are pretty good. I like those. I think Vegas has to be one. Either Vegas or LA. I guess
Vegas every 5 years at a minimum.
Yeah, I would go Vegas. I think Miami's really good. Indianapolis that's a good one too. See, I would want though to mix it up a little bit, and I know that the conditions wouldn't be ideal, but that's part of the fun of it. I would want it in Green Bay.
Yes.
In February, so you guarantee every 4 years you're probably going to have a snow Super Bowl. I would be a fan of that.
But those panty waist corporate execs that all get the tickets,
I know they wouldn't.
They're gonna say no. They want
yeah.
climate controlled.
I know, but this is my ideal world.
I would say Vegas, LA, Miami, and Atlanta.
Okay, you go Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
I like LA, Vegas, Miami, New Orleans.
That's a good one.
A good
New
one.
Orleans is good.
Mm-hmm. Or I would say Nashville when they finish the new stadium.
Yeah. When they had the draft there, it was
awesome.
Yeah, they killed it.
Yeah.
All right, we'll try to see if we can grab one more before we get out of here. Staying on the NFL, I mentioned recently that a new NFL agreement with players could pave the way for an 18-game schedule, potentially with multiple bye weeks that are built in. At the same time, college football is now trending towards an earlier start and an expanded playoff. So when it comes to both the NFL and college football, do you feel the seasons are too long, just right, or too short?
They're just right. It works out perfect for me, and maybe it's just because I'm accustomed to it. But unless my team is playing meaningful playoff baseball, August through February, no, it's good for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like the way that college football is set up. The only thing I would change, again, is the scheduling of not having as big of gaps when you get to the end of the season with the postseason stuff. But for the NFL, if going to 18 games means less preseason games, then I want that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't care about the preseason. I'm sorry. Give them one game, they're good.
Yeah, preseason and the gaps, but I've never thought to myself, well, I wish this football season would end. So I think it's perfect.
No.
We'll get ready for longer NFL. They are going to go well into February on this new deal.
Fine by me.
Yeah, the news cycle never stops anyways. There's always something going on in the NFL. Why not?
They are great at that.
All right, that's today's Pat Ponders here on Jocks.
I appreciate all of you joining us. All of your interaction is always on the Jocks text line. All of our guests loaded up show. Any portion of the show that you missed, you can always find it there. JocksFM.com, 3-Man Front podcast. We're back at it tomorrow. We'll have Our buddy Rodney Orr, Tider Insider, also Rob Haight, will get updates, what's going on spring practices in Tuscaloosa and on the plains of Auburn. So from all of us to all of you, you make it happen each and every day, and we are so thankful and blessed for it. For Pat, Molly, Conrad, I'm Landrum. Have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday. God is great.